Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Starbase friends around the world. Astro Joe here for RGV Aerial Photography, Starbase Weekly, episode number 127. We got great photos taken yesterday. Got a lot of cool, new, fun, and enjoyable things to take a look at. And so with that, I'll pass it on over to your host, Stephanie.
G'day from Australia. Welcome to RGV Weekly from Starbase, Texas. And I'll say g'day to Lawrence here with us as well.
Hello, YouTube, all our Patreon members, and everybody out there watching and listening. Great set of flyover shots this week.
Thank you. And we've got Todd with us as well. G'day, Todd.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me back again. This is always fun. Had some great show and tell last night. We ran down some rabbit holes like we always do, and it was really interesting to see everything. Can't wait to get into it.
All right, thank you. We'll start over at Massey's. Let's see. There we go here. There we go. Okay, so not a lot to do with Massey's. There's a few nice little changes. We'll start with over at the ship testing stand. We see that little tank's disappeared. They still haven't plumbed in that last heat exchanger, and they seem to have the trench closed off.
You know, one thing I like about this picture is it shows the ramp, the exit ramp, and it doesn't look beat up from what we've seen for having another static fire recently. It looks pretty good still.
Yep, very clean. The bit of that rain is a bit of erosion here. I guess they seem to have put this concreting on hold. I guess we'll see that concreting starting up again soon. And I imagine they'll put some kind of a wall up, a kind of retainer wall along there, I guess. Just have a look over that area. Nothing much has changed over there. I'm still waiting for our tanks here. A little bit of development at the new test stand. We'll see if this photo is better. Yeah, look over the back here. We can see they've put the next level together.
Yeah, exciting
Yeah.
to see if that goes straight on, or is it there and they use it only when they need it? Kind of waiting to see that. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see that thing put together finally.
They seem to have temporarily blocked off the posts here. I'm pretty sure it's only temporary. And these little caps will come up and that'll get lifted up and welded on, I would say, sooner rather than later. Now, I'm just going to go back a couple of weeks to show these brackets here on the side. This was from a few weeks ago now. And we have the rams now that attach to that. We can see them in this photo here. So there's 5 of those rams, and they're put around the outside here. And they attach in underneath. I'll go back to this other photo in a second, in under here. So we can see those rams. It looks like they're going to attach to the cap. And speculated that's because when they lift this in, these rams will hang down rather than if they are installed in here. They'd have to somehow contain them up higher here.
Yeah, it never even passed my mind that they might have to put the rams on the cap first, but being over there, stage ready to go, it looks like, yeah, you are correct from what I can see.
So those 5 big rams attached to these points, which is still a little confusing if you think about it, because they have the 20 rams around the outside as well. So perhaps these 5 can instill some kind of lateral forces, or maybe it's for a different set of tests. Maybe it's a shorter test, or maybe the poles are for longer articles. I'm not sure what the difference between the 20 rams and the 5 rams are. It'd be interesting to know that, to be honest.
Yeah, you can imagine with the different barrel sizes of their test articles, it might be good to have that extra wiggle room with the cap.
And just while I have this image, I promised I'd do this, but I'm just going to... little bit of confusion with these poles. We can see that square landing plate there, which is going to attach into... Sorry, Lawrence, to this here. It's going to attach in down here. We can see the square landing pads here. And the slot rather than a hole is because those joiner links, the joiners here won't fit up through those holes, so they're going to have to put these in like from the side. Just to clarify that little detail. So we'll go back to the test article, the test stand. Not a lot has changed other than that. We've got some painting going on down the bottom here. Not sure what that's about. Is it painting or is that just a cover? It looks more like a cover now rather than painting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. Could be a splatter cover for keeping weld off the floor, or they're painting something else. But yeah, it looks like a cover to me.
Yeah, show and tell. We're thinking that was painted, but now to have a fresh look this morning, it looks like a cover rather than paint. You can see it hanging down here a bit and up there a bit.
Yeah, it looks like a tarp.
Not sure there's much to talk about at Massey's. Lean-to seems to be fairly completed. Doesn't look like it's having walls. There's no lugs or anything for walls. So it looks like a simple lean-to, perhaps to protect a few things from the harsh Texas sun. This flight, they couldn't get up close to Massey's. There was some kind of temporary flight restriction going on, so the aircraft wasn't allowed to go quite as close as normal. Not sure what exactly that was. Go on.
I believe the TFR was at 15,000 feet, which, yeah, we can't do that in the flight that we use. I had people had multiple ideas as to why, but I don't think we've confirmed anything as to why it was so high and how long it's going to be.
So just while we're dawdling around, have you got any questions there for Massey's or any donations you want to start with there, Joe?
Yes, indeed. I'd like to thank Calistia Lee, Yap Kuipers, John Depker, Toby Woby, all for gifting 5 memberships apiece even before the stream started. And I want to thank Wilbo Baggins for a 10-pound super chat. I always look forward to these, RGV. Keep it up. I do have a couple of questions regarding Massey's. How about Moody Blues asking, what are the 4 embeds next to the ramp?
Yep, that's a temporary parking spot for the static fire stand. So they can bring it here with a ship on and park it here. And we're kind of expecting in the future, if the cadence picks up, maybe we'll see a second second static fire stand. And if that's the case, they can store a ship here while they're static firing another ship here. But yeah, that's where they can park the static fire stand with a ship on it.
And then fun question here. Daniel Hogben is kind of poking fun. Says, when R3 thrust puck testing? Hee hee.
That is the $1 million question. So I gave a little bit of a spoiler there with a bit of a view of the Raptor 3 there. What I was actually showing is the flight path. So we can see here at Massey's down here. We didn't quite get to fly very close to Massey's because there was a massive big flight restriction around it on that particular day. It didn't come up in the public records, I think Alaska Space was telling me, but it did come up. The photographer was telling me, but it did come up on their flight software that there was going to be a restriction just here. So it was a bit confusing why. It may have something to do with a politician maybe flying into the area or something like that. We're not quite sure. Thanks, Joe.
Another idea on that was that recently there was another flight that flew over that area about 1,500 feet, and we all just assumed it was maybe someone SpaceX. But now with this, it's like, oh, maybe that was someone getting in trouble. Just all I hope is it's not there for long.
Absolutely. Any more questions, Joe?
I have one from Missing Tools unrelated to Massey's, but where is the storage lot with the SpaceX logo on the roof of the tent location in relation to the other lots? Is that a park and ride next to it? Seems to be another inventory area.
Yeah, well, guess we're going to go over to that area as soon as we finish here at Massey's, and we'll talk about that in 1 second. I'll answer that question in a minute. Thank you. If there's no more questions, we'll have a quick look at the storage site on Highway 4. There seems to be a little bit more soil. Not a lot of changes here. They're definitely filling in their sludge pile here, the sludge pits. So when they do some of remember we had that tank up here. Lawrence, can you remind me what they call that? Those tanks?
Yeah, they're the oh wow, now I'm blanking. But yeah,
Was it
they're
a
for
fracking tanks?
fracking
That's it.
tanks. Yeah.
So fracking tanks separate water from sludge and end up with a lot of sludge. I think this is where they've been emptying that sludge, so it doesn't end up out in, I believe that's South Bay or South, anyhow. So you don't get all that silt going out into the bay here. And it probably evaporates or drains through the soil. It looks like some water has been escaping, but I guess they've got a handle on that. Excuse me. We'll have a quick look at this development site. There doesn't seem to be a lot going on. We can see this. It had me a little bit confused for a while. We can see this is going to be a road, a street perhaps, and we've got the street drain either side here. So there's one there, one over there, one over there, and one up over there as well. Oops.
I was kind of glad we saw those because that puts to rest what those L covers were that we were looking at a while ago, and now it totally makes sense for street drains.
Yeah. Other than that, there's not a lot of work going on. They've got the soil built up here, which helps to get rid of the subsoil water, but also to keep it above the flood zone. So that's slowly happening. All right. So we're going to drop over to that storage facility now at the airport. Okay, to answer your question, I think this is parking. It's at the airport. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a local. I don't know exactly where this is at the airport, but it's within the airport boundaries. And I think one of these parks, maybe a SpaceX park, maybe that one, and the other one might be a rental car park.
Yeah, I believe you're right, and that's close to where, like, if you were flying in and out of there and you had to park your car for short term or long term, it's in that parking area is in that area too.
And this is
I
a
don't know
little
which one.
treasure trove of lots and lots of little things. So we seem to have new things and old things here. So we'll start with some new things here. There's a heat exchanger. A heat exchanger over here, like we see at Massey's, and possibly some other heat exchangers here. Not sure what's wrapped up there. Did we work that out, Lawrence?
Those are pump wells.
No, the pump wells are something different. They're in blue. They're somewhere else. We'll find them in a second. Oh, yes. Sorry. Sorry, you're correct. Sorry, that is them. Sorry, that's correct. They're out. I can see it now. Yep.
Yeah,
sorry
those
about
are
that.
the inserts that go into the ground, and then the pumps are dropped into them.
That's
everyone.
correct. Yeah. And an old dish. Some pedestal cranes. Some old high pressure tanks. I'm going to miss. There's so many things in here. Some old vaporizers and old tents.
Lots of plumbing.
Lots of plumbing. I'm looking for the vacuum seal pipes. Are they in this lot too, weren't they?
Yeah, to the left of your cursor. If you go scroll left, they're right there in the middle. Go to the left some more. I thought they were there. I guess those are the regular insulated pipes.
Oh, here they are. So these are vacuum insulated cryo pipes with the attachments here for the vacuum pumps.
Yeah, we've seen those type of pipes installed in the new tower, so not surprising we're seeing more of it laying around.
Yeah, this area. We could probably spend 2-3 hours on a show and tell just in this area, looking at all the different things that are here, what's old, what's new. This was a great picture.
Yeah,
absolutely. Small gantry cranes. Some new things. They're identical. You can see here. Let's see these marks here. They're like 180 degrees, sitting down 180 degrees from each other, but you can see how they're the same, whatever it is. And from the scale, it doesn't look chopstick related or SQD arm related particularly. Some people thought it may be the elbow of the SQD arm, or what do you call it? The right near the tower where it bends around the tower. But it's not that. Lots and lots of goodies in here. You could spend quite a bit of time in here. There's the old booster transport stand. The transport stand or the OLM? I can't remember now what they said in show and tell. I think transport stand.
Yeah.
That's what I thought I remember hearing.
Yeah, the stand QD that they used to have.
Okay, this one here, we can see here an old, I believe, ship quick disconnect.
Yep.
Space hugger. You can see it's been cut off. The ends are being cut off. Well, that's not the best image, but let me see. This image, perhaps. Oh, I'm lost. There it is. It appears to have the ends cut off it.
Yep.
And we know what this is here, don't we?
It's Gateway to Mars.
GATWA. There's a Y in there somewhere. There it is.
Steph, before we go out of this area, we've got a map that was posted into the Patreon Lounge if you want to kind of give a better idea. Thank you, Dave.
1 second.
I like we found the old diverter stands that we never saw him use, but we saw him quite a bit. We're curious about that in Sanchez. Those were over there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, sorry, that's what I was going to show you. It's a bit of the old here.
They were at Sanchez forever, and now we know where they went.
Where is it?
Recent picture in the Patreon Lounge. Or are you looking for the map?
Yeah. Oh, I've just lost it for a second. Hang on. Oh, that's not it.
Dave tagged you in there, so I don't know if you see the highlighter notification or anything.
I'll come back to it. Hang on.
Satellite Vicinity just said Jawa Scrapyard. Definitely.
All right, now I'll have it. Sorry about that. It's here somewhere in a second. There it is. Okay, there's the building, and there's the runways and the terminal. Just to answer your question where it is. Thank you, Dave Avery.
Gives a little idea and a little bit of description of the other lots around it, so that was nice of him. Thank you.
And even a marker to the S&8 forward flap.
So
Or the S&8 flap.
Just before we leave this area, we can have a quick look at this gasification, this liquefaction plant seems to be going ahead quite quickly. And to be honest, it makes Starbase look kind of tiny, to be honest. It's quite a huge installation, some of these tanks and so on, some of the infrastructure here is just amazingly huge. Okay, any questions about that lot there, Joe?
Yeah, Liam Donald is asking, how was the new storage site discovered? Was it because of the big X on the roof?
It's been known about for quite a while. I'm not sure why RGV just decided to photograph it this week. But people like Dave Avery, when they go down to visit Starbase, they quite often come past this lot and have a little sticky beak in to see if there's anything new. So it's been known about for a while, so I'm not sure the answer to that question, why all of a sudden we have it this week, but we're very grateful that we have it, that's for sure.
I think it's also been kind of not used as much recently. I believe it was Dave, and he's there in April, said it was pretty much empty. So we probably just stopped looking at it because it had been empty for a while. And I know other photographers used to go by there and stop going by there, but definitely in full use right now.
And I want to thank Methane Man for a $50 PayPal donation. It says, Methane Man here, more fuel, more better. Yes, indeed. Thank you, good sir.
Awesome. They're the old linkages that came off the OLM. They're scattered around the place. There's so many things in here. The more you look, the more you find. So the linkages they took out of the OLM, and they're being stored here. That was after Flight 3, I believe, they did that.
Yeah, it was.
Patrons will get these pictures, and you can have a good look through here. You'll find all sorts of little bits and pieces in here. Like Lawrence just said, you could spend a couple of hours. Was it Lawrence or Todd? We could spend a
Todd.
couple of hours. Todd, we could just looking at this site on its own.
Yeah, it could have been a dedicated stream just going, hey, this used to be at Sanchez. This used to be at Sanchez. This used to be at Sanchez.
Okay, and with that, we'll move on to Sanchez. Got some nice zoomed out photos this week. Let's start at the other end. You can see a little bit of progress in this parking garage. You can kind of see where they're getting up to with installing all the mechanicals inside the parking, like the lights and the fire system. So it seems like they've finished the first sort of 2 floors, and they're on their way up to the 3rd floor. They haven't quite got up to the 3rd floor ramp yet, or up onto the 3rd floor so much.
Yeah,
cars parked.
I believe the end of the documentation for that says that they should have it completed by the end of this month. By the end of August.
Nice. Excuse me. So, moving on to the GC building. And now the tower work's pretty well completed. Almost all of the tower sections have moved out. I guess the next big thing will be for all the plumbing around the stage 0.2, stage 0.1.
Stage 2.0.
That'll work, that works.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're going to see some of the groundworks in here and some of the works for the OLM. We should start seeing parts pop out and special angles that they're going to need to make, tees they're going to need to make. Obviously, the big sections will just go straight in, but there's going to be a lot of little custom stuff. Hopefully, we'll be seeing here soon.
Yeah, we would expect that stuff to start showing up real soon.
There's a few little bit of groundwork stuff here. I believe they're some tubes for some piles. We've seen them use those tubes in the past for putting in concrete piles. Not so much for OLM type piles, but remember we saw them under the OLM when they did all the rework after Flight 1 and in other places around the launch site as well. Okay, not much work going on around in the stand area. There's a little bit of work going on, but obviously it's still very low priority. Even these install stands for the ship install stands in Mega Bay 2 are still sitting here. Maybe a few more extra little parts arriving, but not much happening in that area. Moving along this area, there's not much in the imagery tent to look at this week.
Yeah, they've started cleaning up a lot of stuff from that area.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. So these beams here, we saw some of these back at the other lot. I forgot to mention them back at the storage lot at the airport. There's more of them at the airport as well. Lawrence, yeah, what you're saying there is this whole shelving rack has been moved out. So it's good to see them cleaning this area up.
Makes me wonder why it's going to be converted other than storage, or then that's such a weird area for them to clean out first. Normally, I would think, you go from the outside in, but not this place.
I guess as they're finalising designs on ships, they can start getting rid of all the old version 1 stuff, and maybe because they're increasing in building the ships, maybe they're going to be more of a receivables area here. Perhaps they're clearing this up. It's a good question. Why are they clearing this up?
I think a lot of it has to do with Star Factory coming online and them fitting out Star Factory at this point.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, that is something that's happening, that's for sure. I think since last week or the week before, there's a couple of downcomers here. They went into the Star Factory. I think they came in 2 halves and get welded together in the Star Factory before installation perhaps a boosted downcomer.
Yeah, when we get over to the build site, we've seen things being moved this week.
Okay, on to the tower sections. One thing that happened, or another thing that happened, was they moved the carriage from, it was just there to there. They didn't move it very far. We thought maybe, I can see the actual cranes here still attached to it. Not sure why. One thought, one thought was to move these tanks out, but those tanks look like they're not going anywhere very soon with all this gear in front of them. So it wasn't for that. So those tanks aren't moving yet.
Yeah, I think it just gives them easier access to move around the site and easier work access for them, so they're not in the roadway.
So we're not expecting any vehicle like ship or booster movements through here, because the next ones will move will be booster 12 and 30, which are over in the build site.
Actually, there may be something moving from here tonight. So we have a road closure for going from Sanchez to the pad tonight. So the speculations right now are either Module 7's going to roll out, which would seem kind of early since they, things happened this morning, and we'll talk about that when we get to the launch site. But the other option could be 14.1, could be rolling for more chopstick testing.
Maybe. That is a common speculation. Okay, onto the tower sections. So, we got section 6 has moved, leaving only section 7, 8, and 9 remaining. As we saw overnight, section 6 was actually lifted, but we'll get more of that when we get to the launch site. They seem to have found a new home for the ship static fire stand. It makes sense to have it here at Sanchez, and so they don't have to keep running it all the way back from Massey's to put a ship on it. Now they've got the tower sections out of here. This is going to open up a whole other room. A whole lot of room here at Sanchez, which will be interesting to see what they do next.
Yeah, when they started getting these sites prepped for the towers, I thought they'd be here a lot longer, prepping them and getting the tower pieces ready, but that's obviously not happening. So, what is next for this area will be interesting.
I know, right? They didn't stay here very long at all. They were obviously fairly well kitted out over at Kennedy. They did a few things, I guess, put like the, the scaffolding on top, and a few pipes were installed, but not a great deal.
Yeah, they put the scaffolding on top of the modules and also added the concrete pipe on the sides for when they're ready to fill the columns of the tower.
Now, they moved the hydraulic actuators. One moved to here, and we haven't found the other one yet. It might be under one of those tents.
It's up to the left, I believe.
Oh, you did find it, did you?
Below your cursor, I believe we found it last night. Is that it? Next to that white? I was sure we found it last night. Over there to the right of your cursor.
No, can I give you another picture? Hang on. Not sure, sorry.
Yeah, I thought.
I thought BJ only found that one, but anyway.
My guess would be in one of the tents, but that's 100% just a guess.
Okay, we're waiting to see some of the big pulleys we haven't seen inside here still. Last week we saw this little tent put up, so perhaps that set of pulleys is in there.
Yeah, the question will be is if they wait to install those two when they finally lift, after they lift it, like they had to do at 39A.
It kind of makes sense to put them in now while it's on the ground, but yeah, that doesn't mean that's the way to work, obviously.
Yeah, they had a lot of issues lifting the top section at 39, and they actually had to remove them before they did the 9th module lift. So they may be waiting to do that as well.
Yeah, my guess would be balancing the load. Something puts it off on one side so much they can't compensate, or it's not safe to compensate for the load shift and put them in later, but we'll wait and see.
Chat's being funny with the jokes about Tank 14.1 getting slapped by the chopsticks. That's funny. Good on you.
14.1, also known as Slappy.
That's hilarious. All right, so section 7, module 7, sorry, looks like it's ready to roll, but there's no hurry for module 7 because I have to redo the crane. So with module 7, there's no hurry. Also, there's no real hurry. I guess it doesn't take too long, though, does it, to reconfigure that crane? I still expect this to be looking a little bit more finished.
Yeah, right now the only thing that crane has to do is lift the elevator shaft for module 6, and then they can lay it down to get reconfigured.
Let me see if I can see that hydraulic actuator quickly here. I'll only spend a minute here and I'll move on. I promise. I can't see it. It's eluding us. It's hiding within, what do you call it? Hiding in plain sight, I'll bet, too.
Exactly. I'm sure if it would have been a snake, it would have bit us.
Hey, that's an Aussie saying.
It's an American saying too.
All right, let's move on a little bit, shall we? We've got some walls going up on the power plant extension here. It's been quite slow as well. Obviously, another quite low priority job.
Yep, they put in the second floor and put up some walls.
Have we
The
seen
floor
the
as well.
equipment go into there, or just what was there before they just put a roof on it?
We haven't.
Go on.
I was just gonna say doesn't look like we've seen any equipment actually go in there, so that was interesting.
Yeah, because normally when with equipment like that goes inside, they put that in and then the roof goes on. But yeah, I hope we can see something go in there at some point to see what it's for.
During some of the movements around, we think one of our members, BJ, thought he saw these two. He can't remember whether they went into Mega Bay or into the Star Factory, but two of these white beams. So it looks like they were just welding them together, have been moved from here. So this one hasn't been worked on now since last week. And perhaps they're just joining them together with that tent over the top of them.
Yeah, that would make sense. They do the welding and the painting under the tent.
Some nice clear photos today. Nice clear air. Nice bit of sunshine.
Yeah, it really was a perfect day for a flight. These pictures are amazing. So
ship 30, it's been moved back into Mega Bay 2. Was getting some work done to it.
Yeah,
I kind of thought it was going to stay out here a little longer with all the cranes that they've got ready working on it, but that changed this morning when I woke up.
We'll talk a bit more about that in the build site. Talking about Slappy, there she is, and that's funny, but there's a bit of an Aussie slang with the word. Anyway, I'll leave that one. It's probably going off to it may be going back because we'll get to the launch site because they've been doing some work on the chopsticks.
they've also been doing work on that test article too. We believe they may have fixed the lifting point. We've seen them up with a crane lifting stuff in and out as well. We know the one lifting point may have been damaged during its initial testing at Massey's. So it looks like they may have been trying to repair it, so this time when it goes out, they can get real confident chopstick data on both.
Yeah, when I first saw them starting to work on it, I thought they were starting to disassemble, but you're right. They definitely were just doing repair work and upgrading or making changes for next testing, possibly upgrades for next testing. But I wouldn't be surprised if Slappy rolls out tonight.
So that was last week's photo. I was just seeing last week's photo. I was just seeing if any of the old test equipment was still up there from last week, but it doesn't look like it. I can't see much of a change from last week, but they've been working on it. Cool. So that is a good indication that they are going to be using it again. I mean, it's a good indication because it's sitting here that's going to get used again. So whether it gets used again for more chopstick testing, which does make a lot of sense, or whether it even goes back into that test stand at Massey's to test it as well, is yet to be seen as well. Did I see those old Raptor ones still here? I did, the power heads. It's funny that they're still there, not scrapped yet. Okay. We covered everything at Sanchez there, guys.
Yeah, it's pretty much just changing as the new pad gets built.
So I'll see some questions there. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, Liam Donald asks, have we seen any sign of the ship QD for Tower 2 yet?
No, we have not.
I knew that would be the answer. And he also asks, what's the destination for those two white tanks?
In my opinion, they're going to be for the proposed air separation unit plant.
And my speculation is they're going in where the big vertical tanks were. We'll see. Not saying we can't say one's right or wrong, and I think Lawrence has got a good basis for that because it kind of looks like here there is a couple of tanks, perhaps of those sort of similar size in this proposed plan.
I'm going to go ahead and agree with you, Steph. I think that with how they've been doing staging and the frequency of stuff coming in for when it's ready to use, I think it's too soon for the air separation unit. Definitely could end up there, but I think they're going to see them at the launch site tank farm first.
We'll have to put a donation bet on that one there, Lawrence.
All right.
Thank you, Joe.
Sure. And so a nice segue question from Daniel Hogben, is Ship 30 getting an engine swap?
Okay, we've had that question just a minute ago. I wouldn't expect so. I mean, we can't say no, but being so close to flight, I wouldn't think so. I mean, it's a really good question, and I really can't say no, but I kind of really doubt it.
I think it's I think it's more for final flight preps now. They want it in an enclosed environment away from foreign object debris.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird that it went into Mega Bay 2, where they would normally do engine installs, but I also agree with that one with Lawrence. That I think they're just getting final preps. They want a cleaner environment. They want better lighting, be able to do all the last minute things that they're doing. Even though they have done last minute upgrades to the ships out in the yard, now that they have Mega Bay 2 ready, if they don't have anything else going in for engines, it's a perfect place to do anything else.
Yeah, 29 got its final preps out here in this stand, as far as I can remember. They were working on flat tiles and all sorts of things. So I guess we'll get back into the Mega Bay 2 when we get to the build site. But Mega Bay 2 has had some work being done in it that was possibly finished just yesterday or even just today, and leaving room for Ship 3 to go back in there. There may not have been room in Mega Bay 2 in the last few days because of the work going on inside Mega Bay 2. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, very definitely an interesting question, though. Well, things are lost, Joe. Hello.
All right, so Booster 4's aft section is still getting sun and collected rain.
All right. What? Where's my name really big? All right, well, we'll keep moving then. I seem to have lost Joe. That's all right. What time are we? Okay, we'll move on to the build site. And just before we get to the build site, we might have a quick look at this new engine. She's a beauty. Look how clean this thing is. This is just amazing. So SpaceX and Elon have dropped 5 new images for us for the new version 3 Raptor engine, and as promised,
I think we lost you there, Steph. As promised, it's going to be a lot cleaner than previous, I believe she was saying.
So as promised, there's no there is some up there, but all these flange bolts, we'll have a quick look at an older engine, and it is so messy in comparison. But all these flange bolts here and in amongst in here, all these flange bolts in here, all been taken out. All these flange bolts for the bottom part of this engine, so there's no flange bolts anymore in here, no flanges, and not very much plumbing or electrical at all. And we think, we're no rocket scientists, but it appears that from this line here down is going to be not protected from the heat at all. So this is all heat coating on this. So this will all be exposed to re-entry temperatures when the booster comes back through the atmosphere. Of course, booster doesn't re-enter at re-entry speed, but it does come down quick enough to get extremely hot. And the ship obviously has a skirt to help its protection. But it looks like there's going to be the ceiling still as the heat shielding, because we can see there's none of that protective covering up here. So it appears like from there up is going to be protected. And just going from some of the real intelligent people we have in our show and tells, like Alex, who helps Zach a lot, there's a great deal of pressure in the chamber here, but there's a lot more pressure up here in the pre-burners to force the gases into to force the propellants into the chamber. So there's going to be a engine rud. It would more than likely happen up here in this area. So there may be still protection up in the top to protect each Raptor from each other. But it appears very obvious that from below that line is just nice and clean. and not much plumbing at all. As Elon said, a lot of the plumbing's been internalised. There's obviously a little bit of plumbing work that can't be internalised. But yeah, it's looking very slick, very nice.
Yeah, SpaceX and Elon dropped these during the show and tell last night. And man, let me tell you, or towards the end of the show and tell, it sure changed the subject real quick there. These pictures are just amazing how clean this thing is. It's just, I know that they were going for a cleaner look, but I was not expecting this.
Yeah, I believe they posted today that engine is already on the vertical tripod stand at McGregor for testing.
As far as I understand, Raptor 3's had more than one test already. I would like some verification on that, but I'm pretty sure it's already underway in its testing campaign. But boy, what a difference, between version 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So there's a few bits of plumbing missing here, and perhaps I'm expecting still up in here at least a little bit of external plumbing and electrical. Some of these electrical lines, because obviously the engine needs some computer control to control. I think this valve assembly has a lot to do with throttling the engine, has a lot to do with the pre-burner up here, controlling the pre-burners and the pressures going into the chamber. Like I said, I'm no rocket scientist. And there'll be wiring harness going onto that. And of course, there's the regen pipes, which I think we can see perhaps may have something to do with here. I'm not sure exactly. But there's going to be some regen pipes come off the LOX side somewhere, and regen pipes come off the methane side somewhere. So maybe that's something to do with them. But yeah, there's a little bit of plumbing missing from up in here, which does make it look a little bit cleaner than what it might actually be once it's actually ready to go into a vehicle. But I'm pretty confident below that line, that's it. Pretty sure that's all you're going to see from now on of Raptor 3.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing one come off a truck and being moved around in Starbase that's ready to be installed, just to see how much more is added on to it and what does it look like when it's about to go in. See how much difference is. That'll be a fun thing to see.
Yeah, I'm really hoping we get to see them on the Mario Karts, as they're called.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love those new Mario Karts.
Oh man, my daughter absolutely loved them. She thought that was the coolest thing ever.
That's awesome. Her interest in the rockets, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's good when the family gets behind your passions. So we can see the thrust vectoring mounts here. Okay, Astro Joey back in a minute. We can kind of see some of the internalised plumbing here, I think. I was wondering what that was in show and tell yesterday, but maybe that's some of the internalised plumbing we can see here, even as an example of what Elon was saying about internalising some of the plumbing.
Yeah, it definitely more internal molding would make sense, so you don't have to worry about things getting ripped off.
Absolutely. Oh, William Foss just said, are those the ETVCs? Yep, that's where they mount exactly. So for X and Y movement. I was saying in show and tell, I mean, fair enough, there's a lot of engineering and design and science going into the rocket engine, but I mean, look at this valve body. Just that alone, imagine the engineering and time and effort taking in and how sleek it looks now. That one item, and it's only one small item as part of the whole engine. But obviously a very important part. Okay, he's back. Okay, Joe, we got any more questions you want to catch up on before we go to the build site?
Yeah, sure. I want to thank Tim Jones for gifting 5 memberships as well. I got a question from him as well. Any hardware spotted for horizontal ship transport as mentioned in the latest EIS docs? Could it be those square pieces with the semicircle cutouts that have been around forever? Could be some.
Yeah, we've talked about those pieces for quite a while ago and quite a bit about it. Personally, I'm going back to I don't think so yet. They're not ready to do it. They won't have it staged this close. Definitely could be. It's really interesting that they have those. Other than possibly that, I have not seen anything other than just the talk about it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And at this point, it's going to be a matter of what's quicker, trying to transport ships and boosters from Starbase or get another Star Factory up and running at 39 or Roberts Road, which they've already been approved for the EIS for that. So we're just waiting to see them break ground on construction there.
You know, one thing that just hit me now is more than likely the first time we'll see anything vertical will be if they continue on with their plans of using Australia for recovery or something out there. Because if they're going to be shipping them back, that's when they're going to need to be laying down. Horizontal, excuse me, not vertically. That's going to be laying down. So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with a yard somewhere in Australia close to where they're recovering that makes something like that, so they can pull them out of the water horizontal and then bring them out and get them onto some sort of a boat or transport boat, barge to bring them back because they don't need them laying down here. They need them laying down somewhere else for at least for now.
Agreed.
All right, a question from You Don't Need to Know. Do you think they will retrofit Mega Bay 1 with all the permanent walkways around the interior like they did with Mega Bay 2?
They already have those.
They have a certain amount of them. They've got the lifts go up and down for the chines. There are platforms in there. So there is already quite a bit of infrastructure like that. We saw that with the EDA walkthrough. We saw a little bit of that up close, and we've been seeing a little bit of that through the doors. We follow the doors there especially. So there is already a little bit. I guess there's not a lot to be done up on the sides of boosters, whereas the ship, there's all the tiles. So there's a lot of work to be done up on the sides of a ship. So maybe not be quite as necessary.
Yeah, most of that platform and walkways is in the back for the boosters, and really they only need them at a couple of levels, unlike the ships where they need a ton of levels due to having to tile, different areas and access different modules in the ship.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
All right, and Michael Oliver asking, will V3, or I guess that's Raptor version 3, use the same hookups and GSE as Raptor 2?
We believe there's no reason to change how the actual engine is mounted. We can see here it seems to have a very similar, if not exactly the same, mounting arrangement. Obviously, the what do you call it? The gimbal's been removed from this engine. They may be quite compatible. There may not be a lot of difference in the mounting.
Yeah, until we see what actually roll out of Star Factory or roll into Mega Bay 2, or actually mounted on a ship or booster, we don't know how much that's going to change everything else, the ground structure and everything.
So the engine doesn't actually get connected to the GSC directly, or the GSC goes through the quick disconnects right next to the boosters. So as far as I know, that's not changing in the near future. And then once it goes through the, say if this was a booster outside 20 engine, the GSC attaches through the quick disconnect around the outside of the OLMs. The quick disconnects around the outside of the OLMs, so that shouldn't change.
Yeah,
And the rest is internal plumbing.
Yeah, you can see the port on the Raptor 2 sitting next to it. That square box is where the QD, I believe. would
No, I think-
normally be mounted.
aren't they in between the engines? Sorry. I'm not sure about that, actually. That doesn't look like where it connects. That's just a box lid.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was higher up on the engine. Sorry, I may be wrong.
Yeah, I might be wrong, too, about where it connects to. Sorry. Thank you, Joe.
All right, one more on the Raptor 3 from Moody Blues. Any idea on the weight of the new engine iteration?
Was that in the specs here? I think they were talking a bit of specs here in the
Yeah,
space sec.
right there.
Oh, there it is. 1.5 ton and 350 impulse seconds, which is really good, outstanding. 280 tons of force. 280.
Yeah, 1720 commodities and hardware mass on the vehicle.
You gotta love SpaceX for their willingness to share stuff with us and everybody else around there.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
All right, a nice segue question to get away from Raptor 3 there from Crane Man. Good old Crane Man. Where did the new Grove mobile crane go? I seen some counterweights come in on Rover 1.
So I don't know. Do you know, Lawrence?
I have not seen that one yet.
If anybody else would have asked me that, I would have said, "Hey, Crane Man, what do you know?" But yeah, so I have not seen that.
Agreed.
Yeah, I've seen talk about it being another LTR 1220. Which is like the black Buckner crane that has been strolling around, and currently the yellow Buckner that's helping over at Pad B. The same, a third one of those models.
Thank you, Dave. The QD does hit the actual engine. Thank you. I feel like I should know that. Thank you, Dave.
All right, my cue is clear.
All right, let's go back to the build site. Okay, on to Megabay 2. We saw these getting installed, these frames here through the week, and I'm thinking this is why Megabay 2 wasn't available for Chip 30 until now. And they're going on, I can just see one here. I think there's a better shot. They're going in here to fill in this gap between the platforms and the actual ship. I think one of our members was saying a bit like what happens in the vertical integration building, vertical assembly building at Kennedy, where they can fold down platforms to get closer to the rockets.
Yeah. And
Yep.
during the latest SLS core move, you can see a lot of those style of platforms in there, in the VAB.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was a question asked a while ago about Megabay 2, if they would fill that in. I'm pretty sure we had ideas of something similar to this, maybe not exactly, but yes, filling in those gaps. You don't want fall hazards. It's just more hassles to go through with local authorities making sure everyone's nice and safe. So if you can get those right up to it, you got less gaps and you're able to get closer and work safer.
Okay, I think this photo, you can just see them up in there as well. We could see them on that side as well. And this photo, you can see them up on this photo, sorry. I'm putting my head closer to the screen when my voice goes quieter. You can see them in here. I'm pretty sure that's what we're seeing in here as well, I think.
Yeah, and we believe that's where S30 is now sitting.
Yeah.
It's really good to see Mega Bay 2 finally taking its, I won't say final form, but it's taken shape where they can actually start working on ships and start the production
We
quicker.
believe these are little platforms that go onto here to fold down. Okay, let's move over to ship. Oh, sorry, that was a bit quick. Ship 31. Ship 31.
Yeah, 31.
So we haven't seen any tiles getting removed yet. Sorry, Alaska Space. We're looking at something back at that. I'll come back to that in 1 second. So, ship 31, yeah, it didn't seem to have received all its tiles yet. Is it still missing its door? Is that what I'm seeing there? We're not sure. We guess that it's going to have its tiles removed as well. Can't see any reason why it wouldn't. Maybe they're waiting for the actual flight of ship 30 before they change ship 31's tiles. Not sure.
Yeah. They could have already started on the far side and we just couldn't see it. They already have the scaffolding all the way up. And right now I think they're just waiting.
They got the scaffolding all the way up, but it's not all the way over. They're not going to be able to reach those tiles far to the left. So I would expect to see more scaffolding come up if that's what their intended plan is to do right now, which I would think it would be, but I'm still expect more scaffolding to verify that.
Yeah, I'd agree on that. I was just saying that they have it all the way up on the right side, but we haven't seen the left. I think they were still figuring out what to do with 30 and 33, and they got other things they worried about trying to get Flight 5 ready right now.
Sounds right to me.
And we've got an empty turntable because that ship 33 has gone into High Bay, Mega Bay 2. Okay, booster 15 is, I believe, only 1 or 2 barrel sections from the methane tank being finalised. So it's not far off being fully stacked. And it should, I'm just trying to work out whether booster 15 or 14 is going to be the booster for ship 33, flight 7. Because Elon said flight 7 is going to involve ship 33, that kind of makes ship 32 completely scrap. And I'm just wondering whether booster 14 will go in scrap as well. There's no real reason either way, I think. I kind of just imagine that the new aft section that we saw for booster 15 with the extra tanks may have something to do with the extra fuel tanks size on ship 33. Because as we saw with ship 33, it's got a few changes, but the forward dome is higher, so there's going to be more propellants in ship 33 than in previous tanks. So it's going to be quite interesting to see which booster they launch with ship 33.
Yeah, I think they may still launch it with 14, because it's going to be if they do launch 33, it'll be the first Pathfinder Block 2 ship. So I think they may still do it, may just launch it on an empty without a payload, and then just to get the re-entry data and see how the new forward flap design works and other improvements that they did.
Yes, it's going to be interesting to see which way they go. Okay. Some really nice clear photos this week. You can really zoom in quite well and see some fine sort of detail. Some nice low down photos as well on his way back. Okay, let's go around the back of the factory. We've got some concreting here. This was a great big pool of water there last week, the week before. And it seems like all that pool of water drained down around the corner here and pushed a lot of dirt over the nice, clean, shiny rocks here. Seems to have flowed straight through here. Anyway, that won't happen soon once this is all concreted and all the water goes where it should go, down through the drains and out where it belongs, out there. Moving over, they're starting to bury the pipes we think is a heat exchange system or some kind of cooling system for the new office buildings. It's not new work here, it's just burying the pipes. And over this side here, they've fully buried all this side of it. So we can expect the units to get, or concrete, and then the units get put on here soon, which will be like heat exchange units, so they'll be able to chill a liquid to do some chilling of some sort over in the office, whether it's air conditioning or equipment cooling, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, that'll be fun to watch take shape. Hopefully we'll see some groundwork happening real soon here after these, maybe next week. If that's the hurry that they're in, we should see something soon, but I'm excited to see these ones take shape for sure.
Got a couple of more forward flaps, the new design. I'm not sure whether this is one. There was one sitting out here for a while over the last few weeks. Not sure if these are new ones, if they've gone in. The other one's gone in. So these are from more future ships, 34, 35, etc. Another thing we noticed this week is a whole heap of new tiles. Now let me just zoom out here again. I'll go slowly for you. We often see tiles stacked up over here, so perhaps they're the older style tiles that they've stripped off ship 30, and perhaps these are the new style tiles that they put on ship 31. I'm on ship 30, and perhaps these are here getting ready to be put on ship 31. Not sure about that, but there's a lot of them around. Oh, excuse me. Okay, we'll have a quick look at the ring yard. Where was that photo here? Quick look at this ring yard here. We finally see Angry Bunny, the dome here with the little coupons cut out of it. It's gone finally. Not sure where. It's either gone back in for more welding and testing, or whether it's just been finally scrapped.
Well, you said the magic word, it's gone, so that means for sure it's going to show up again next week or soon, because nothing makes sense with us. When we think something happens, it doesn't happen. When it shouldn't happen, it does happen.
Exactly.
Right?
There was a single ring section here last week that's gone. This section here we saw with some ground photos, some writing on this. It seems to have been perhaps doing different tests with different power settings, perhaps different temperature settings, and cutting out coupons to test those welds. So a bit more of possibly Star Factory commissioning, perhaps some of the robot welders getting commissioned and trying to work out what welds work best, maybe a way to save a little bit of weight here and there.
Yeah, no, they're still commissioning all the tooling in Star Factory, so probably wouldn't be the last one we see like that.
Yeah, also being in a controlled environment, sometimes depending on where you're at, you have to adjust to what your environment is. But now they're going to be working in a controlled environment, so I believe that was the one that had a bunch of different wattages and amps possibly written on it. So they'll be able to fine tune it with the testing, and then the later on testing of the actual welds.
They seem to have been doing weld testing all the way through development, all the way through all the different versions of ships so far. So it seems to be an ongoing ongoing thing to continue testing, which is a good thing when you're doing R&D like this. I apologise, my voice. I'm got a bit of a frog in my throat, recovering from a flu, but it's all good. So we can see some nice fresh concrete on the roof. We're a bit lucky with our weekly episode. We put in our script that this was going to get poured this week, and lo and behold, it was. So there it is, which is unusual because they skipped the floor. That floor hasn't been poured in concrete, and the floor below has been poured in concrete. And they seem to have, made another little hole in the roof. And being the roof, I'm not sure what's going to happen on there. And this hole as well. I'm hoping there'll be a ship here. Someone likes to joke that it's going to be a Falcon, but I'd like to see, say, Ship 20 or something going here. Or just to be really nasty, Ship 26.
I've seen Hopper is the biggest, has the biggest fan club for getting moved over here.
Well, the triangle shape would kind of match for Hopper because it's with 3 legs to fit down, to get it down in there. So you may have a point there.
Honestly, my guess is it's just gonna be wide open atrium style walkarounds throughout both sides of it. Maybe possibly a circular ramp, something in that area that's just wide open. I'd love to see something in there, but my guess is it's just gonna be a wide open area that maybe the entrance or something just to show things off, but not big things.
I'm also wondering if those open roof areas could also be massive, like skylights, so they could have more natural lighting.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
I mean, they've got to stop the rain somehow. I mean, they're going to have to fill it in with something, you would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
glass up there for skylights.
Yep, that makes sense. So we can see, I'm pretty sure that floor we're seeing there is this, what do you call it, first, second floor, and goes all the way around and comes back in under, and it's all open right up to here. And we notice on some other photos, this floor level comes back in here. There's a big open space in here as well. So between that floor and this roof, there's another floor with this floor. It's a bit of an illusion. It doesn't look like it, but there's a extra floor in amongst there. And it comes back along this line and then curves back around in here, leaving another open area in here. So we've got those open areas. I remember a while back when they were constructing, there was a big triangle area and a parallelogram area in here open as well. So there's quite a few little areas where it's quite tall and open. And before we go around the front, we'll go have a look around the back here. And just to be a bit more confusing, we have more footings. And this time they are in line with this part of the building and more like this part of the building's wall footings. So it's still a tiny bit confusing why those footings are so big. They're more like office building footings, but over here it all looks like Star Factory type footings. And it kind of appears that because these are here, maybe they're getting closer and closer to expecting to get this block finally.
Yeah, we're just still waiting for the final determination on that case over that land.
It still doesn't make sense to me why they would jet it out that far. I would have thought they would continue on with the line that they have right there versus going back out, but SpaceX,
Maximize. They
Go on.
want to maximize every piece of usable space. We're seeing that every other part of Starbase.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird line. It's going to go along here, and maybe even step across one more as well in here, because those footings are over there in line, like with this line. So it may have a real funny little step in here yet, and step around that whole office. It's going to look It's kind of silly. I mean, it's still unusual.
From the air, it'll definitely look like, what did they do? But from the ground, if you were driving by, it'll just all look like one continuous complex.
Yeah, from the road, it's going to look like, you're not going to see much. It's just going to look like one continuous wall, we think. But yeah, in here from the aerials, though. So this is a good photo to show. Oh, excuse me. Let's show how this lines up through here. Now, let's see this photo. I guess the big thing about the office building is the windows.
Glass, glass, and more glass.
Yeah, it's looking really good, going up quickly. Quite shocked to see one day I looked, it was just starting. Next day I looked, and a good portion of it was further down the line.
Yeah, I want to say they started Wednesday, and between Wednesday and Friday, they've already got the highway side done for the most part, and already wrapping around the corner there.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how these drop downs work in amongst it. So that was like on Star Factory. There must be a join here in the glass, or it's where they put more of the hooks to sit the glass panels. Because we were unsure whether that was going to be solid, not glass, when it was getting constructed. But it looks like it's just part of the mounting frame for the actual glass. So this isn't added steel, is it? This is just the steel that's already there painted, I think. Is that correct? And it's going to
That's
end up being a continuous wall of glass.
that's correct. We saw them do the same thing with the corner of Star Factory where the glass is, where they just painted the structural steel behind the glass.
I wonder if the glass is going to go right to the top of this as the facade even, or they're going to put like sheet iron up there.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering is, will the glass go down to the ground level, and then maybe have the um like maybe a layer of the cladding, and then maybe more glass in between, or all cladding up top, all glass up top, cladding at the bottom. It's going to be interesting to see what the next phases of this are.
And this corner detail, this how you can see here quite plainly how this is longer than here, how that little detail is going to work. And eventually, how on earth that's going to work with the factory coming across here and how this big triangle in here is going to get filled in is another interesting detail. Perhaps they may even just run these across and put glass. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they may tie it all together in the end.
No, they're going to put this white material down underneath here to continue that the same, which could be.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering is that white going to be on the bottom, or are they going to do glass on the bottom? It's going to be fun to see this thing take shape.
Absolutely. Just adjust my mic. I think people are saying I'm a bit quiet. I'll be a bit more conscious of where I put myself in front of my mic. Thank you very much for the feedback.
You're good now.
Okay, so there's a bit of development over here with the playground is. What are we calling this? The new entertainment centre.
Rec center.
Rec centre, that's it, thank you. Which we thought was going to be more in here, or maybe it is in here as well, but yeah, there's definitely groundwork going on up there. We're doing well with... Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
I think it shocked most of us last night when we started seeing that out there. Yeah, I don't think anyone was really expecting to go that far out.
Exactly. Okay, we're doing well with time there, Joe. We might do some more questions and donations, please.
Absolutely. I want to thank Daniel Hogbin for gifting 5 memberships, as well as our very own Darth Lawrence for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you, sir. Methane Man gifted 10 memberships as well. Thank you for all that support. I've got a PayPal donation from Crane Man, $30, and a message that says, thanks for the awesome photos again. Missed show and tell, but enjoying this new RGB episode. My donation for the next flight, Crane Man. Thank you all for the support and keeping RGV flying. Might I just toss in a quick reminder to hit that thumbs up button for us, please? We'd appreciate it. And a question from JS Web Productions. Any information regarding whether the launch control will be located in the new office building or not?
No, there's been no word as far as that's concerned. It does look like a perfect place for it, with it facing the launch site and all. Lawrence, can you remember, is it within the exclusion zone though? Isn't it, this building?
Yeah, it's still within the exclusion zone, but we know they do have the red team and stuff there on site. So it will be interesting to see if we get any images in the future from the inside. We know from past SpaceX videos, or we're pretty sure that from past SpaceX videos of launches, they have had people at Stargate, in the Stargate building for mission control.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Joe.
All right. And Taryn Adarsh, sorry if I butchered that. When do you think Ship 33 will be completed enough for something like a static flyer?
That's a good
really
question.
good question. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Todd.
I was just saying the same thing. It's a really good question. I mean, it could be anywhere from relatively soon to a couple months out. I think it's just going to depend on where do they concentrate their resources. Do they need more people to get ready for the next flight? Are they close enough to where they don't need that many people on the next flight crew team, and they can start, sparing people to other sides? So I don't have a guess yet. Hopefully soon, but I can't guess yet.
Yeah, at this point, we're still even waiting for Ship 31 to do its static fire, so S-33 right now we're still waiting for more parts to roll out.
Absolutely.
All right, I want to thank 55 Chevy Guy Steve for gifting 5 memberships as well, and Yazada for a $20 super chat. Keep Mauricio and Irma in the air. Much appreciated. Got another question regarding that piece of property from You Don't Need to Know. What's next for that private property between the office and Star Factory?
Well, we just touched on it a minute ago. It's still in the courts. It'll be determined very soon. We're all fairly confident that they're going to have ownership of it very soon, and it'll be filled in with footings. Those footings will go through. These footings will go through, and it'll be covered in Star Factory hopefully very soon.
I've got one final question. We'll circle back to Raptor 3 on from Daniel Hogbin. Has anybody done the math yet on what the thrust to weight ratio will be with Raptor 3?
No, we haven't seen that yet. We do know Elon some of the renders were saying that booster could end up with 10,000 tons of thrust. So with a bit extra weight, so it may increase its target's 1.5 thrust to weight. I'm not sure whether they're there yet even now. We've got to remember the Starship is still nowhere near a final product, so it still doesn't have the capability of mass to orbit. So still a fair way to go yet. Even with Raptor 3, there's still a long way to go with development and research to get up to their desired thrust to weight ratio. But I could see it exceeding 1.5. I think 1.5 is a target, No, I don't think they have that yet.
I do believe you are correct, and my queue is clear, and I do believe chat is chomping at the bit to get over to the launch site.
Well, let's just do that then, shall we?
We shall.
Okay, we can see Section 5 here still hooked up to the crane, which was soon after disconnected. And then Module 6 was moved over to here and then hooked up to the crane. And now Module 6 is sitting on atop the tower. Interestingly, they haven't been doing all the welding so far. I can't remember what it was like on the first tower. They've done a fair bit of welding on the very base and this level so far as I know.
Yeah, I was definitely expecting the welding to follow more quickly with the levels that go on, but they're obviously sure enough with how they're holding them together, they can keep going up as they're continuing on welding lower.
Oh, well, look at these taglines. I was wondering what they were, the taglines here. So there's some, I think, concrete being poured perhaps earlier. This bit of beam and this square has been added since last week. I know what you're all looking for. I know what you're all waiting for. We'll get to there in a second. We're all wanting to look at the trench. Let's have a quick look at this hole in the ground. Best guess is this is an underground fluids bunker where they'll distribute between the tower and the OLM for the fluids going to the ship or booster. It seems to be about in the right position. Let me just quickly show that. We believe it's somewhere right here. So somewhere where the commodities trenches. So it may be like a valve assembly to direct fluids to the ship on the tower here, or for the booster, I believe the commodities are coming around here to the OLM around this path.
Yeah, I agree. It could be that T intersection with the way they're custom forming this vault.
There seems to
Yeah,
be.
definitely.
Oh, go on, Todd.
I was gonna say it's definitely gonna be a usable space down below. We can see some walls being rebar starters for the walls that'll go up. So there's definitely gonna be a cavity in this. It's not just a giant footing that they're gonna fill in completely. So after seeing those walls come up, I'm starting to think, yeah, it has to do with the commodity pipes and valving.
Yep. So we've got a revamped commodities bunker because here in there's already a commodities bunker. Which photo? This one. Over. Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. Sorry, couldn't clear the trees for the forest.
Above your mouth. Yep, that's it.
So maybe this will get demolished after all. We've noticed when in the past there's a massive amount of conduits under here through these bolts with power coming from these bolts across the road. So perhaps that'll get changed. So we're looking for an electrical bunker, and then now we have a fluids bunker. So it's all coming together nicely. Okay, coming into the trench here. Trench is coming along nicely, and it appears to be what's on the plan here. They're putting this wall in here. It's not part of the wall. These piles are not part of the wall. They're just there to keep the water and to keep the dirt out when they dig the hole here. So the flame trench could be right over here a little bit further, over this way a little bit. So that line doesn't indicate the edge of the trench necessarily. It may indicate the outside of the concrete of the trench perhaps. And we should see the OLM roughly here somewhere, I think. We're going to see the OLM.
Yeah.
And so far, we were speculating whether it be 2 or 3-sided. It really appears to be only two-sided, and it looks like it's going to be fine to clear the separation unit over there. That won't be a problem. It will probably go towards the state highway, but looking at video footage of the static fire at Massey's, the plume doesn't extend out quite as far anymore with the flame trench, unlike this launch tower where the flames and the steam do seem to go quite a long way out. With the flame trench, it seems to get kicked up a bit more, so the highway shouldn't be an issue. I'm trying to head up some questions here. Just switching back around this side, they've moved the pile digger over this side, so it looks like they're starting to do some perhaps tank farm work, or looking at that, it's in this area here, so perhaps some of this something to do with the trenches, or the water farm. So to do with the water farm, perhaps, is what's going on here. They're still clearing dirt and leveling out over this area. Go on, Lawrence.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've been seeing that CFA rig move all around the site. Over on the left, we know it's been working on piles for the tank farm expansion for the orbital tank farm, as well as looks like it's started doing the piles for the deluge tanks over in this area as well.
Happy birthday, Sharpie, through the week. They're in chat. Now, a big question is how they're going to lay this crane down. Where's an out a bit further away shot? When they built this crane, it reached all the way over nearly to Highway 4, so it's not going to leave a lot of room here to add these. Now Module 6 has been mounted on top of the tower. They're going to have to lay the crane down and add this piece of boom section and these two sections, which are both the same size, but we believe one's going to be added to the boom, the main boom, and one's going to be added to the lofting boom, as far as I can remember off show and tell.
That sounds about right.
Or are they going to lay the crane down that way? Either way, they're going to have to move it a bit, because if we look from either side, it's on a platform, so it can't move a great deal. But I think someone's saying they can wheel it back a bit, take some of these and put them around the back and literally walk it back a little bit that way. Even to turn it around to lay it down the other way, the Stinger won't fit in here. So either way, they're going to have to move it a little bit to lay it down, I believe.
That's correct. And we've seen them do that with those crane mats when it first showed up. We saw them moving those around to position it where they wanted.
So yeah, maybe going to lay down in here, but it could easily lay down this way too.
Yeah, if they've removed all that dirt when they're ready to lay down that berm there, then I have a feeling it may go that direction just to be less impact on the rest of the site.
Some awesome images coming through this week all around the launch site and all the other sites. Okay, yeah. So I'll go ahead.
I was just going to add one thing about this crane reconfigure compared to the ones in the past. It won't take nearly as long as it did. So, like when they laid down the LR11350 during Pad A construction, it would take up to 2 weeks to reconfigure it. This will only take a couple of days compared to that.
I found a mystery object here, which could be the foot that the chopsticks ends up sitting on. Oh, where'd it go? You find things and you lose things. Hang on.
Yeah, the triangle.
Oh, there it is. No, that's not it. There it is there. Not sure what that piece is. Some people are speculating it might be it's upside down, the bottom stop for the chopsticks.
And I forgot to look for that at Sanchez.
Okay, so pad construction area. That's about it. I think we've looked into that. The parts are just continuing along. We can see they've put that safety netting up just on one level there around the tower. I think some people might have been speculating there might be multiple levels of it, but it's only one level of it. I guess you only really need one level of it. It works. That's about it, I think. Let's move on to D2, gate D2. So with this plan, gate 2, D2 was supposed to be a bit further over. So at the moment, it's actually here. So it looks like it may interfere here. So looking like commodities and hippos here, and then into the trenches to go to the tower and into the boosters OLM. So this diagram's 4 months old, so this could change a little bit. These hippos could be moved down here a little bit, and there's still room to bring the roadway through here. Looks like this will be one grade through here to bring the ships and bring the boosters and ships through here, and then through there to the other tower.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see what the first thing that rolls through there is.
Okay, over here we've got, I believe we call this one Tankenstein, and blue, they were removed from, oh, that's not the photo I want, hang on. Here, blue and Tankenstein were removed from right here, and which begs the question whether the tank farm right now is inoperable. I'm thinking right now that it is inoperable right now because there's the methane. That's all, as far as I understand, it's part of the methane system. So right now the tank farm's out of commission until they finish off this little bit of plumbing around this area here. And Blue left the site on a truck, so it's pretty sure Blue's not coming back. So we've still got another tank to be put in here to go along with this one. I think this one was just a nitrogen storage tank by memory.
That's correct.
Going back to this photo, we have a new vaporizer in here. They like to lay the vaporizers down. And that came from over here. There was two laying down, not hooked up. There's two laying down here, but they're hooked up. So there was two more laying down that aren't hooked up. So one has gone over there. And while we're here, we can see they've been cleaning up the old foundations, nice and clean, even all old plumbing. Wow, actually I didn't notice this in Chantel so much. That's looking very clean, all that area.
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah, they've made a huge jump there from what it has been the last couple of weeks.
So this T down here would be capped off, I guess. There'll be no more locks coming in that side, that's for sure. This is the new locks line for the new tanks. And some nitrogen, I think, high pressure gaseous nitrogen here. So that won't be long. They'll have that completely cleared out. They've been driving in and out here now. They are too. Look at that. Yep, there's a truck. They've got this fully open through here. Amazing. Wow, it's been a long time since a truck could get in here.
2021.
Nice. Okay, as previously mentioned, they've done a lot of work on the chopsticks, so we may get to see the booster 14.1, aka Slappy, come back. So they've changed out the linkages that allow this rail to go up and down. They're two in parallel. I guess they work a bit like suspension on some of those rally cars and those what do they call them, stadium trucks with the linkage suspension, sort of, and some of the actuators as well. I think there's 3 actuators per arm.
Yeah, they've actually gone back and started filling in a lot of the empty spots we've been seeing on the chopsticks with the additional hardware needed for landing.
And with scaffolding and a aero platform there, and they've got the chopsticks tied up again here. So that's other actuators getting upgraded, possibly in situ rather than getting removed like the other one was. I think that's because the other actuator had some work done previously, if I remember correctly. So now they may bring the tank back to do some final calibration of this right arm. So we call this the right arm and this the left arm because we look at it from the tower. You are the tower.
Yeah, I would definitely expect 14.1 to be the next thing that rolls to the OLM, not B12.
Yeah, that really is the only logical thing in my mind that could happen, but we'll see what they do tonight.
It seems like a bit of an overkill having the LR 1100 here lifting those little tiny, like the literally little tiny linkages. It looks quite amusing to have such a big crane here. Now, the other thing I have a question I didn't get an answer yet is have they fixed the SQD actuators yet under here? I can't remember if they had or not.
No, we're still waiting for them to do that. And I think that's going to be I know this week we've seen them up there grinding and stuff. So I think they're prepping it, but the priorities have been the chopsticks right now.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. They have been grinding up there this week, so I expect to see some movement up there pretty soon. More movement.
Awesome, thanks guys. Now I think we've covered everything at the launch, so we'll take answers. We're running nicely on time. We have time for answers, so let's have them. Joe, please.
You got it. First, I want to thank Miss Jax for gifting a membership as well as a $5 super chat from Drew Nar with a statement saying 38 tons of weight saving from Raptor 2 to Raptor 3 on booster, according to Twitter. Wow. Thanks, RGB. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. A question from Missing Tools. Is there enough room for everything they want to put between the new D2 entrance and the existing horizontal tanks?
Yeah, I think I just touched on that. So the new D2 gateway is actually over here. As long as they move those hippos back this way a little bit, I can see the road fitting in around there quite easily. Like I said, this diagram's 4 months old, so this could actually have changed a little bit as well.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Lawrence.
I was just going to say that whole layout could have changed. They may have redesigned it since then.
Yeah, I'd say that there have changes have already been made. We just can't verify it yet. I'm sure they have a new map already that we just haven't been privy to see yet.
Because it's sort of already, I guess it is on an angle there. I was going to say it's already sort of, oh no, it is on an angle. It's the same angle. Okay. Yep. Thanks, Joe.
All right. Question from Keon. Hey, RGB team. Thanks for the amazing coverage. When do you think Tower 2 will be completed? Thanks as always.
I guess there's two parts to that question. There's going to be finally stacked, which will happen very soon. As far as finally finished, well, probably a similar time to the trench and the. Well, I expect all those things to be in a similar kind of time frame between the tower, the trench, the OLM, the new tank farm additions, and the water tank farm. They should be all kind of running fairly parallel. Just the stacking, that's only a small part of the actual job of finishing the tower. There's still obviously the carriage, there's still the rails to be welded in between. There's so much work still to be done. As much work as has been done prior to stacking, there's still an amazing amount of work to happen after stacking. So it's a good question. Probably not before the end of the year, at least.
Yeah, stacking will be done fairly soon. But complete Tower 2 ready to go. Yeah, I don't think this year, but it's going quickly, so I could definitely be wrong.
Yeah, stacking, we know that they had given an estimated deadline of August 15th. I think it will be done by then for all 9 modules. However, operational, I still think end of the year, January, where we'll start seeing actual testing. I think we'll see like other modules start showing up once the tower is stacked. Not extra tower modules, but other components of Pad B.
Yeah, and we've still had no sight of the OLM2, so who knows how much longer that's going to be, or is it going to pop out of somewhere completely ready to go and move right in and get set down? That we'll be seeing soon, hopefully.
Well, just on that, the OLM thing, because it's a flame trench and everything, a bit like at Massey's, I don't think, like, we're obviously going to see similar sort of thing. Obviously, how am I trying to say this? I don't think it's going to become like arrived like this one did. So obviously, because there's a whole flame trench attached to it, so it's going to look completely different. But obviously, they're still going to have the clamps and perhaps the QT system, the quick disconnect system. There's speculation that they may change this QD system on the new launch tower, on the launch mount. But obviously, there's the whole clamp system. So there is going to be a part of the new OLM come as, in quotes, an OLM, because the OLM, the whole mount, it's so much different this time. So it may come in different pieces. It may come completely different to last time. Thank you, Joe.
It's definitely going to be different just because of the shape alone. How it's hooked up, we'll see on that one. I still can't see how they would get away from the individual QDs, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree. I can't see how they're going to do it either, but that's just some speculation we hear in the chats.
All right. I've got one final question in my queue from Zach J. Murphy, who apparently needs to go see a CSI Starbase episode. He asks, what's the purpose of the fluids bunker?
Yep, that's fairly easy.
That's a great episode.
So the fluids, the commodities come from the two pump stations. So the LOX pumps here run into the fluids bunker with super chilled LOX, and also a super chilled methane run into the bunker here. And from the bunker, it's got to be diverted either to the OLM for the booster, and also diverted over to the tower through here for the ship. And the fluids bunker has a lot to do with that, with filling and draining all the valves and so on, as far as that's concerned. When they do cryo testing and nitrogen pressure testing on the OLM, that's all controlled in the fluids bunker. This one has also got a vaporization system inside here, which was a water heat exchange in here. So that's why the water tanks were here, were to turn liquid commodities into gas, say nitrogen, to backfill the nitrogen tanks, and liquid oxygen and gaseous oxygen to backfill the oxygen tanks as they drain them. So that part of the fluids bunker isn't getting used anymore, but it's basically a big valve assembly. And on this map here, we can see here there's an intersection here, and this is where the booster commodities go, and this is where the ship commodities go. So it's basically a valve body, so they can turn the fluids from the ship or to the booster, or both-ish.
Yes.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I can't remember the name of whoever asked that question. Definitely check out Zach's CSI Starbase video on that. I've watched that one like multiple times because I still get confused at times what's going on, and that's very, very informative on how exactly everything works down there. Great video.
Yeah, I only know most of the stuff I know is through Zach and his CSI team. They're an amazing team.
Same here. Definitely, those deep dives are worth watching just to get the basics even.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Is that your questions?
That's all the questions I got.
Well, we're on time, so I'll thank everyone for joining us today on YouTube and in Patreon. And I'll say thank you, Todd, very much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always fun. I appreciate it. Just want to remind everybody, hit those likes and subscribe and all that normal YouTube stuff. We appreciate everything. Helps keep us in the air and keep these shows coming. I'm going to say happy birthday to Sharpie and Senti. Hope you guys have a great birthday. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Todd. And Lawrence, I thank you as well for coming along today and your expert input.
Thank you for having me as always, and shared sentiment of happy birthday to City and Sharpie. And we definitely appreciate your guys' support and look forward to the next time we get some more photos.
And I'll say thank you for Joe, and Joe will continue with the credits. Thank you. And I'll say g'day to you all, and I'll be seeing you all next week again. As Zach has next week at work again, so we'll be filling in again for you all next week. And apologise we can't go quite into the deep dives that Zach can, but we just bring you the updates as we see them each week while Zach's away. So appreciate you all listening to us, and appreciate all the support and the kind words I've been seeing in chat and through the donations and everything. So thank you very much, and thank you, Joe. I'll leave it over to you.
All right. Yeah, I look forward to next week as well. And so thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Darth. Appreciate all of your time and expertise, and willing to share the information with everybody. And thanks for Astro Jen, my lovely wife, for scheduling everybody and rounding up the team. And awesome YouTube chat. Thanks for all the donations and gifted memberships. With that said, most engines cut off. Hot staging confirmed. Love you. Bye.